So learning target 4 is all about this graph. I just went back to our other assignment and I actually cut it out of there using the little scissors tool and copy pasted it here so I could see it as I'm working on it. So if that helps you, go ahead. But we are wanting to look at what the data says here and describe the trend or the pattern, right, of CO2, both CO2 and temperature from the past to now. So we want to make sure we give both, okay? So again, you could separate this into two parts, right? Past and like current or the last 50 years. You know, 50 years is of course a long time, but when we're talking about 800,000 years of data, 50 years is pretty short. Okay, so we want to look at the pattern and make sure we describe that line. So CO2 and temperature, CO2 is in orange here and temperature is in blue. So we see they're pretty close together. If temperature, or excuse me, if CO2 goes up, temperature goes up, right? If CO2 goes down, temperature goes down, and so on. So for this past section, we want to describe the pattern as this up and down or varied, right? So we want to start with something like that. So the pattern of CO2 and temperature is, we could say, varied or goes up and down, but we do want to notice that it is consistently between that 200 and 300 parts per million, right? So the pattern of the past is consistent, or it's a cycle, right, of this up and down change. But when we look at the current time, the last 50 years, we notice that that section of the graph is only increasing. And we only have CO2 for that part right now. So the last 50 years, CO2 is consistently increasing, right? So we're giving the pattern. And not only is it increasing, but it gets up to this 400. So that's where we can plug this in. And it's higher than ever before. It reaches 400 parts per million compared to the previous peak at right around 300. So we really want to make sure that we're differentiating between the past of this up and down cycle compared to the now, which is a very steady increase going higher than we've ever seen before.